And now coming to automated testing and deployments, it's a kind of, it will be covered into the CI/CD, and we use popular tools called Selenium and Cypress or PyTest or JUnit we use, and now we are using Argo downloads as well. Imagine you upload your project to Google Classroom, and it checks everything, for example, spellings, formatting before submitting. For example, you take how many of you have installed linting? Have you heard about lint? Anyone?
Yes,
So what does that linting do?
linters like for the formatting or for get the errors.
Exactly. So that's what. So it checks the formatting and it's check whether the main work was, it checks the formatting before you push it to the code. And most of the people now, I'll tell you the real world how it works. For example, in my case scenario, uh, in my office, not in my office, most of the office, before you submit the PR in the sense, right, pull request. So before it gets merged, so previously what used to happen, we used to have two reviewers to the pull request, and those two reviewers used to review all the code and they used to pull it. I mean, they used to merge it. Now what happens is everything is automated in such a way that they will be able to we are writing in the backend, so that it will just the lint, it will check the linting, and it will scan for vulnerabilities, for example, say SYNK, right? So I think sneak tool, so it will use for vulnerability scanning. So it does all the things, and once it passes all the checks, it will just push the code, right? So so there is no manual intervention at all, and it automatically merges. So these all things will happen. So now, coming to monitoring, so I feel observability is much more important and much more like very constant. I mean, it is observability plays vital role in the industry. So why? Because without observability in the sense monitoring, so we call it as an observability and overallistic. And for example, if you take about monitoring, without monitoring, there will be no industry, and there will be nothing, no project will be going to live without monitoring. you know and there are some famous tools which we use in the industry. Those are Prometheus and Grafana, and we use OpenTelemetry and Datadog and ELK stuff. As I told you, it's not like we will be having like testing. If you take testing, or if you take any of the, for example, Java domain, or if you take Python, so or .NET, anything. So you will be testing on only on the .NET, or you will be doing development only on the Java. But when coming to DevOps, so it's a very vast and very huge. Once you get the job, and I'll give you 100% assurance. What you learn, you will not work there. You will be working on different technology. For example, you learned so much on Kubernetes and Terraform, and you are master in that. And once you go there, if it is an on-premise servers, and for example, if you go to the banking, so if it is an on-premise, most of the things will be on-premise servers or their custom uh, Kubernetes servers, or the commands will change, and even whatever changes. So the core concept should be remain same. And I will tell you, I had faced multiple interviews, and I have attended multiple interviews, and I had given multiple interviews, and I'll from my experience, I'll tell you, either anywhere, if you can see, either they ask AWS or Azure. If your resume is completely on, for example, they are having an job description as Azure, and you keep your points on AWS, and somewhere in the next company or the before company, somewhere you keep as Azure, they will shortlist you because they see at the holistic view of you're having cloud expertise about. Got that. So that's where I'll tell you, wherever you go to the next company, or whether you don't expect, or you don't have expectations that I'll be working on only on this, I'll be working on only on particular set of data sets. No. So for example, now MLOps, if you get chance to work on the latest technologies, then you are god gifted. So I feel like that, because so as I told, DevOps is a very vast and very huge. So some might be working on some other tools, and you might be working on some other tools. And they will ask everything. They will ask, they will start from the Linux, or they may end with the Linux. They will start DevOps, I mean cloud, Kubernetes, and even they will ask you to write on the code, I mean Python code and everything. But just stick to the basics. I'll tell you that, and that's it. You will easily crack the interview. Just correlate the things, and just uh, you deliver the, I mean you just match the tools. For example, from the Jenkins, what's happening, where it is going, right? From the Jenkins, how the code is getting scanned. So you think in that way, and you just move on, and you will crack most of the interviews, and yeah, most of the things. And now, coming to we just spoke about the DevOps, right? So we just now spoke about the DevOps. Now what? But around some time, Google took this one step further and gave it a name, Site Reliability Engineer. I think you have to concentrate on this SRE, because I see most of the jobs are on SRE. And if you have DevOps only, it doesn't fit you in the industry. So you should be having SRE as well. So what is an SRE? For example, if Google has termed this, it was born at Google, right? And it's like um, Google has termed this SRE. It's a kind of software, I mean, site reliability engineer. And what they thought in such a way that what happens if we treat operations, why shouldn't they work operations like a software engineers, right? Then if Google, I mean if Einstein and Google were never around, there will be no coding, and we will be living happily, right? So we will be sipping chai under a tea, and we will be nothing debugging at all. So yeah, jokes apart. So instead of having, they thought in such a way that instead of having just ops engineer manually maintaining systems, why we shouldn't have software engineers and ask them to do the coding, automation, engineering, and that's what SRE in a nutshell, right? And so there are 5 core principles of SRE, that is reliability. And I should tell you this, reliability is something which is very, very, very important. Without reliability, without reliable, no application should be there in the production. And there are if everything matters with the reliability. So for example, if you do the for example, if you deploy a code into the production, and you had faced one issue, and you had fixed it immediately, and you had another issue after a couple of days, and you fixed it again, and it's not reliable, right? It's not reliant, right? And how come you can depend on that? For example, there is an high load, there is a Christmas, and that is an e-commerce, right? And you'll be having a lot of load, and at that time it might break, because it got broke previously multiple times. That is not reliability. So how can you uh, be on that application? How can be so sure on that application? So that's where this reliability, no monkey fixes, right? It should be constant, it should be available throughout the time. And yes, the first thing is reliability.